Life has a way of interrupting our best-laid plans with unexpected setbacks. But what if you possessed a method to not just endure these disruptions, but to harness them as your primary source of power? The ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers exactly that, a transformation process for the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private meditations that the obstacle in the path becomes the path itself, and that every barrier is fuel for the inner fire. This video will guide you through a structured Stoic transformation method, a series of practical steps to fundamentally reframe every obstacle you face. You will gain a clear, actionable system to build unshakable mental resilience from the ground up. We will explore how a simple pause can disarm chaos and why embracing your circumstances is the ultimate key to freedom. What single challenge in your life right now feels most like an immovable barrier? The Stoic transformation begins not with the setback, but with the space you create immediately after it happens. That first flash of frustration, that sinking feeling of disappointment, that is the critical juncture. The ancient Stoics identified a powerful faculty of the mind they called proheresis, your capacity for choice. This is your innate ability to decide what any event means to you. It is not what happens to you, but how you interpret what happens that shapes your entire experience. The philosopher Epictetus put it plainly, people are troubled not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This is the heart of the Stoic pause, a conscious decision to insert a moment of quiet between the event and your judgment of it. It is in that brief pause that your power resides. Think about receiving a strongly worded message from a colleague. The automatic reaction might be to feel upset, to become defensive, to fire off a quick reply. But if you enact the Stoic pause, you take a breath, you create a gap. In that gap, you can choose to see the message not as a personal criticism, but as poorly delivered feedback. You can separate the content from the tone. This single shift changes everything. It moves you from being a reactor, controlled by outside events, to being an actor, guided by your own principles. Bring to mind a small frustration from your own week, perhaps being stuck in traffic or a last-minute change of plans. What was the very first thought that entered your mind? Was it a sense of unfairness, of inconvenience, of things not going as they should? That initial, often unconscious, assessment is the very thing the Stoic pause seeks to gently intercept. Mastering this pause is the first and most vital step in building resilience from the one's fate. It asks you to see every single event, especially the difficult and unexpected ones, as not just things to be tolerated, but as essential ingredients for your own development. Your greatest challenges are not interruptions to your path. They are the very materials you need to build a stronger character. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his meditations that you should accept everything which happens, even if it seems troublesome, and accept that it has occurred for your benefit. He advised to welcome every experience as if you had wished for it yourself. This is not about passive resignation. It is an active, courageous embrace of reality. Think of the philosopher Seneca, who was sent to the island of Corsica by the Emperor Claudius. Far from seeing this as a professional and personal catastrophe, Seneca reframed it. He used his years away to write some of his most powerful letters and essays, works that have inspired millions for 2,000 years. He saw his time there not as a punishment, but as an opportunity for undisturbed study and philosophical practice. The setback became the source of his most enduring legacy. This is the transformative power of Amor Fati in action. It takes the raw material of a painful event and forges from it a new strength. Now bring to mind one past difficulty from your own life. It might have been a professional rejection, a personal transition, or a period of significant hardship. For a moment, set aside the immediate discomfort it caused. Instead, ask yourself this single question: What was one potential hidden benefit that emerged from that experience? Did it reveal a personal strength you did not know you possessed? Did it steer you toward a different and perhaps better path that you would not have chosen otherwise? Did it deepen your compassion for others facing similar struggles? By searching for that hidden benefit, you are not denying the difficulty. You are practicing the art of loving your fate, and in doing so, you begin to unlock the strength that was waiting within the obstacle all along. Let's step back, far back, and look at our challenges from the perspective of the cosmos itself. This is the ancient Stoic practice known as the view from above, a powerful mental exercise designed to shrink our worries down to their true size. You are invited to close your eyes for a moment and visualize your life not from the ground, but from a point high above the earth. See your town or city as a tiny patch of light. Watch the continent become a map, and the planet itself a beautiful, swirling blue and white marble drifting in the immense quiet of space. From this vantage point, your personal struggles, your urgent deadlines, that difficult conversation you are dreading, how significant do they appear? Marcus Aurelius constantly practiced this shift in perspective to maintain his composure. He wrote, "Remember that all of this has happened before and will happen again, the same story from beginning to end and the same setting." He reflected on the countless generations that have come before us, their joys and sorrows now part of history, and the endless expanse of time yet to unfold. This is not meant to make your life feel unimportant, but to free you from the weight of passing troubles. Consider the common frustration of being stuck in a traffic jam. In the moment, it feels like a major crisis stirring impatience and frustration. Now, pull your perspective up like a camera rising into the sky. From a bird's eye view, your car is one of thousands in a slow-moving river of metal. From the edge of the atmosphere, the entire city is a silent, glowing grid, and the traffic jam is invisible, completely small against the scale of the landscape. The situation has not changed, but your relationship to it has been completely transformed. The next time you feel overwhelmed by a problem, large or small, take just 30 seconds to perform this mental exercise. Look at the situation from the ceiling of the room, then from the clouds, then from the stars. Feel the vast, quiet expanse of the universe and recognize your own small but valuable place within it. This cosmic perspective is a tool for instant calm, a reminder that this too shall pass. The Stoics engaged in a powerful mental rehearsal for hardship, a practice known as Premeditatio Malorum. This is not about cultivating a pessimistic outlook, but about developing a profound form of mental preparedness. By vividly imagining the potential challenges life could bring, you build an inner fortress of resilience, dramatically reducing the shock and disruption when difficulties actually arrive. It is a vaccination for the soul, a small dose of controlled thought that strengthens your immunity to fear and anxiety. Seneca explained this practice with striking clarity. He wrote that he would periodically rehearse a simpler life, imagining a shift in his material circumstances. He would spend a few days living with the most basic provisions, and in doing so, he discovered a remarkable truth. He found that rehearsing this scenario in his mind was what truly made him feel rich, because he realized his peace did not depend on external comforts. He also advised reflecting on the changing nature of relationships and the natural course of a human life, not to dwell on sadness, but to remove the sting of the unexpected and to appreciate the incredible gift of the present moment. This practice allows you to live fully, right now, because you are no longer haunted by the fragile nature of all you possess. You can try this yourself with a simple exercise. Take a common personal possession you value, perhaps your phone or a piece of jewelry. For just 1 minute, close your eyes and vividly imagine it is gone. Picture the moment you realize it is lost. Feel the initial jolt of disappointment. Then follow that thought through. What would you actually do next? How would you solve the problem? You would likely find a way to manage to replace it or to carry on without it. When you open your eyes, the object is still there, but your relationship to it has subtly shifted. You experience a renewed sense of gratitude for having it, while simultaneously feeling a little less controlled by the fear of its loss. Now, bring to mind a common modern worry, like a key work project failing. Spend 1 minute mentally walking through that scenario. What if the presentation is poorly received? What if the launch does not go as planned? Instead of letting the fear swirl in the background, bring it into the light and face it directly. Then ask yourself this single question: what is my actual capacity to handle this outcome? You would find a way to learn from the feedback, to adapt, and to move forward. This is the ultimate purpose of Premeditatio Malorum. It is not a prophecy of doom, but a quiet declaration to yourself that you are, and always will be, stronger than any circumstance. When a strong feeling arises, the Stoic method asks you to do one thing first: give it a name. This is the practice of cognitive distancing, the art of stepping back from your initial, raw emotions to observe them with calm curiosity. You are not your frustration, your worry, or your unease. These are simply temporary visitors to the door of your mind, and you hold the power to decide whether or not to invite them in. The philosopher Epictetus offered a beautiful analogy for this. He said that when an impression or a thought first knocks at your door, do not let it straight in. Instead, you should say to it, "Wait for a moment, let me see who you are and what you represent." This simple pause, this act of naming what you feel, transforms the emotion from a commander of your actions into an object you can study. An impression of insult is not the same thing as an actual insult. A feeling of panic is not proof that a situation is truly hopeless. By labeling it, you create a small space between the event and your reaction, and in that space lies your freedom. Imagine you are in a discussion and a colleague dismisses your idea. The immediate, hot surge of feeling is an impression of frustration, an impression of being overlooked. The untrained mind might lash out or retreat into sullen silence, both reactions governed by that initial impression. But if you have practiced cognitive distancing, you can catch that impression at the door. Internally, you can name it calmly. This is a feeling of being unsettled. This is an impression that my contribution was not fully heard. By describing it in these neutral, observational terms, you strip it of its urgency and its power to control you. You can then choose a response based on your principles, perhaps by asking a clarifying question or calmly restating your point, rather than being a puppet to a passing feeling. The next time a difficult emotion rises within you, whether it is irritation in traffic or nervousness before a meeting, try this simple act of naming. Silently and without judgment, state what it is. This is impatience, this is concern, this is a feeling of being stretched thin. In that moment of honest labeling, you are no longer caught in the storm. You have become the person standing on the shore, watching the waves, knowing they will eventually subside. Stoics train themselves to see the world not as good or bad, but simply as it is. This discipline is known as the art of objective representation, a method of describing events in plain, factual language, deliberately setting aside the value-laden and emotionally charged interpretations we so often add. Your mind has a natural tendency to layer a story on top of every event, a story filled with judgments about what should or should not have happened. The Stoic practice is to gently peel that story away, leaving only the simple facts underneath. When you declare a situation a disaster, you are not just describing the event, you are issuing a verdict that triggers a cascade of powerful feelings. But when you state the meeting was cancelled, you are merely reporting a neutral fact. The event itself has not changed, but your emotional response to it is now entirely different because you have removed the fuel of judgmental language. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this technique. In his private writings, he constantly broke things down to their fundamental material nature. he would remind himself that a piece of prized amber is just the resin of a tree, that prized purple dye is just the blood of a shellfish, and that a famous person's applause is just the cracking of air. He was not demeaning these things, but rather seeing them for what they truly are, free from the inflated importance our judgments assign to them. By looking past the symbolic value we attach to objects and events, he could see reality with unclouded clarity. You can apply this same lens to your own experiences. Consider the heavy, final-sounding statement, "I failed." This declaration carries immense emotional weight, suggesting a permanent flaw. Now contrast it with its objective representation. "I received a score of 65% on this specific test." The second statement is simply a data point. It is a specific outcome from a specific moment in time. It does not define your entire capability or your future potential. It is information you can use rather than an identity you must carry. This shift in language creates a space for clear-headed analysis and purposeful action, where before there was only a cloud of self-criticism. Bring to mind a current source of frustration in your own life. Now try to rephrase that entire situation into a single, plain, factual sentence. Strip it of all dramatic adjectives, of all claims of unfairness, of all predictions of doom. What are you left with? You are left with the simple, manageable reality of the situation, and it is from that neutral ground that your most effective and resilient response will always emerge. What if the only thing that could ever truly affect your inner self was your own character? This question lies at the very heart of the Stoic transformation method, a thoughtful recalibration of how we view what matters in life. The Stoics taught that virtue, and virtue alone, is the only true good. Everything else, from our physical well-being to our financial situation, belongs to a separate category they called the indifference. This does not mean these things are unimportant, but that their value is not absolute. They are preferred or dispreferred, yet they do not determine whether you are a good person or not. Your moral character, your capacity to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, is the only thing that is genuinely good because it is fully within your control and cannot be taken from you by any outside force. Epictetus expressed this with great clarity. He said, "It is not things that disturb us but our views about things." And then he added this essential point: when we feel hindered or troubled or distressed, let us never hold anyone responsible but ourselves, meaning our own judgments. A person of good character remains untroubled in the city, untroubled in the desert. The only way your inner peace can be disrupted is by choosing to act without virtue. Imagine facing a significant financial change. The event itself, the shift in your resources, is an external circumstance and indifferent. It is dispreferred, certainly. But the true measure of the event lies in your response. Do you react with fear and unfairness, perhaps making unwise choices or speaking unjustly of others? Or do you meet the situation with the virtue of courage by calmly assessing your new reality, and with the virtue of wisdom by creating a thoughtful plan to move forward? The financial shift itself is not what diminishes you. The potential difficulty, the only real inner challenge, would be the compromise of your character in how you choose to handle it. Your strength is not found in avoiding the change, but in preserving your integrity throughout the experience. Think about a recent disagreement you had, perhaps a difficult conversation with someone close or a colleague. In the heat of that moment, what was your primary aim? Was it to win the discussion, to prove you were right, an external outcome over which you have limited influence? Or was your guiding intention to act with fairness, to listen openly, and to speak with kindness, an internal goal that is entirely your own to fulfill? The next time you find yourself in a moment of tension, pause and ask this single question: is my focus right now on controlling what happens around me, or on ensuring that my own actions reflect my deepest values? The answer will show you everything about where your true strength resides. We often exhaust ourselves wanting things we can't have. The Stoics offer a different path, the discipline of desire. This is not about suppressing your ambitions or settling for less. It is a profound training of the mind to want only what is truly good for you, what is virtuous, and what is already within your power to achieve. When your desires are misaligned, constantly reaching for outcomes you cannot command, you set yourself up for a life of quiet frustration. The discipline of desire reorients your entire inner world toward the only things that can ever truly satisfy you, your own choices and your own character. The philosopher Epictetus framed this as the very essence of a peaceful life. He taught that freedom is secured not by satisfying our desires, but by eliminating them. He meant the endless, frantic craving for externals, the hunger for approval, for wealth, for specific results that the world may or may not provide. Your peace is found in wanting what you already have the capacity to be, a person of excellence, right where you are. Consider the common desire for a promotion at work. The untrained mind fixates entirely on the outcome, the new title, the increased recognition, the higher salary. All of these are external events, dependent on the decisions of other people and the complex dynamics of an organization. To desire them is to hand over your sense of worth and fulfillment to forces outside your control. The Stoic transformation begins by reframing this desire. Instead of wanting the promotion, you train yourself to desire the actions and attitudes that make you worthy of it. You desire to perform your current duties with unmatched excellence. You desire to be a supportive and collaborative colleague. You desire to approach every challenge with creativity and resilience. These are all things entirely within your command. The beautiful result of this shift is that you become a better professional regardless of the outcome. If the promotion comes, you are prepared for it. If it does not, you have still grown in skill and character, and your inner peace remains completely intact. You have transformed a potential source of anxiety into a daily practice of self-improvement. Now bring to mind one thing you strongly desire in your own life. It could be a specific relationship dynamic, a material possession, or a particular achievement. Now take a moment to reframe that desire. Ask yourself, what is the core action or attitude within my control that this desire points toward? If you desire a harmonious home, your reframed desire is to act with patience and understanding today. If you desire to write a book, your reframed desire is to write for 30 minutes with full focus. By anchoring your wants in your own conduct, you stop reaching for distant, uncertain outcomes and start building a life of purpose and agency with your very next choice. Stoicism is not passive. It demands we act, but with a specific focus, the benefit of the whole. This is the discipline of action, a commitment to performing your duties with justice and kindness as your guiding stars, completely detached from the final result. Your responsibility is to play your part well in the grand scheme, to contribute your effort for the common welfare, while accepting that the ultimate outcome is not in your hands. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this duty. He wrote that one of his core principles was to do what was necessary for the community, and that his city and his country were Rome as a free citizen, but as a human being, his city and country was the entire world. His focus was not on whether his edicts were popular, but on whether his actions were rooted in a desire to serve the common good. This shift in intention is profoundly liberating. It transforms your efforts from a transaction where you expect a certain return into a pure expression of your character. Consider the act of volunteering for a local community project, perhaps cleaning up a park or serving meals. The virtuous action lies entirely in your participation, in the energy and care you bring to the task. You control your effort, your attitude, and your willingness to contribute. You cannot control whether the weather holds for the cleanup, how many other volunteers show up, or whether the community at large even notices the improved park. If you tie your sense of fulfillment to those external results, you risk disappointment. But if your fulfillment comes from the act of contributing itself, from knowing you played your small part with good intent, then your peace remains unshaken regardless of the outcome. The action itself becomes its own reward. Now, bring this principle into your own sphere. What is one small, concrete action you could take today that would benefit your immediate community or family? It does not need to be grand. It could be patiently listening to a family member without distraction, offering genuine help to a colleague without being asked, or simply performing a household chore with a generous spirit. In that moment, your focus is not on receiving thanks or recognition. Your entire goal is the kindness and justice of the action itself. By aligning your efforts with the common good, you build a life of purpose that no external circumstance can ever diminish. The Stoic sees a barrier not as a block but as a training ground. This is the moment where all the previous principles come together into a single, transformative action. It is the active, living application of loving your fate, where you no longer simply accept a difficulty but actively recruit it for your own development. Every single obstacle, from a minor inconvenience to a major life disruption, presents a clear invitation to practice a specific virtue. That very challenge is what will build your strength. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly when he wrote that an impediment to action advances action, and what stands in the way becomes the way. The barrier itself is not an interruption of your path, it is the substance of the path forward. Consider a significant project at work that does not achieve the desired result. The initial reaction might be disappointment, a feeling of time and effort spent. But through the Stoic reframe, this exact same event is reinterpreted. The project's outcome is now your opportunity to practice the virtue of resilience, which is a form of courage. It is your chance to stand firm and choose to move forward without bitterness. Simultaneously, it is an opportunity to practice the virtue of wisdom. You can look at what happened with clear eyes, drawing lessons about planning, execution, or teamwork that will inform your future efforts. The experience did not take anything from you. It provided the raw material for building greater courage and deeper wisdom. This is how obstacles become fuel. They are not things to be avoided, but experiences to be used for your growth. The frustration of a long delay becomes fuel for your patience. The challenge of a difficult conversation becomes fuel for your fairness and self-control. The uncertainty of a health concern becomes fuel for your present moment awareness and gratitude. Your character does not grow in times of ease and comfort. It is shaped through daily challenges. Bring to mind one current obstacle in your own life. It might be a relational tension, a financial pressure, or a personal goal that feels out of reach. Now take a moment and silently complete this sentence. This obstacle is my chance to practice. What quality does this situation ask from you? Is it the chance to practice patience by enduring a slow process with grace? Is it the chance to practice courage by having a conversation you have been putting off? Or is it the chance to practice wisdom by letting go of something you cannot control? By naming the virtue, you transform the problem into your personal curriculum, and you begin to walk the path that the obstacle itself has laid out for you. What if you occasionally sought out a little discomfort on purpose? The Stoics practiced a powerful exercise known as voluntary discomfort, a deliberate choice to experience small, manageable challenges to fortify the mind for the future. This is not about self-punishment or seeking hardship for its own sake. It is a training regimen for your inner self, designed to prove a fundamental truth to you, that you are more resilient than your circumstances might suggest. By willingly stepping into minor unease, you can drain larger, unexpected setbacks of their power to surprise or overwhelm you. Seneca wrote extensively about this in his letters, explaining how he would periodically adopt a lifestyle of simpler means. He would wear less warm clothing, eat plainer food, and sleep on a harder surface. He did this not because he had to, but to remind himself that a good and happy life does not depend on external comforts. He was, in effect, strengthening his peace of mind against the fear of losing those comforts. He wanted to know through direct experience, not just theory, that he could thrive with very little. You can integrate this into your own life with simple, safe practices. You might choose to take a cold shower for the final 30 seconds, building resilience through that brief, refreshing shock. You could decide to walk a longer route to your destination, embracing the minor delay to strengthen your patience. Another option is to skip a single meal, not for dietary reasons, but to experience temporary hunger and observe that it passes without lasting trouble. Each of these small acts is a vote of confidence in your own inner strength. They are gentle rehearsals for life's inevitable disruptions. So, this week, what one small, voluntary discomfort will you choose to engage in? It could be as simple as turning off the heating in your car for a short drive, or spending an evening without any digital screens. The goal is not the discomfort itself, but the quiet realization that follows, the deep knowing that you are and always will be okay. Each night, the Stoic philosopher would sit down for a quiet conversation with their own soul. This was not a diary of events, but a deep and honest examination of character, a practice known as the evening review. Its purpose was to sift through the day's impressions, to separate the sound judgments from the faulty ones, and to prepare the mind for a more virtuous tomorrow. Seneca himself wrote about this essential habit in his work on anger, describing how he would question his own spirit each night before sleep. He would ask, "What fault of yours did you cure today? What failing did you resist? In what part are you better?" This was his method for ensuring that no error went unchallenged and no progress went unnoticed. The review is built around 3 simple yet profound questions. First, what did I do well today? This is not about inflating the ego, but about identifying where your principles aligned with your actions. Perhaps you successfully paused before responding to a provocation, or you chose to focus on a task within your control instead of worrying about an outcome you could not command. Acknowledging these moments solidifies the behavior, teaching your mind what to repeat. The second question is more challenging: where did I go astray? The Stoic use of the word fail is specific. It refers to a lapse in judgment, a moment where you surrendered your inner freedom to a passing impression. This is not an invitation for self-criticism, but for clear-eyed diagnosis. The final question naturally follows: what could I do better tomorrow? This turns reflection into preparation, creating a clear intention for the next day's practice. Imagine a day where you lost your composure in a meeting. The evening review would not simply replay the frustration. It would gently probe the judgment that sparked it. The initial impression might have been, "My idea was unfairly dismissed." The review would examine that judgment. Was it truly unfair, or was it merely a different perspective expressed poorly? Did the impression of being overlooked lead you to react with sharpness, thereby compromising your own virtue of self-control? By identifying the specific judgment that the event was an injustice you had to fight, you can then formulate a better response for the future. Tomorrow, if a similar impression arises, you can choose to see it as a simple difference of opinion and respond with calm curiosity instead of heated defense. Tonight, before you sleep, you can try this for yourself. You do not need a lengthy essay. Simply take a moment and write 3 sentences. In the first, acknowledge one reaction you had today, a moment where an emotion felt strong. In the second, identify the underlying judgment that fueled that reaction. And in the third, write a single, small intention for how you might meet a similar impression with more wisdom tomorrow. This brief conversation with your own soul is how you close the day, not with regret, but with purposeful growth. Apatheia is often misunderstood. For the Stoics, it meant freedom from the storms of passion, not a lack of care. This is the serene harbor of the mind, a state of clear judgment and inner stability that remains firm even when the seas of life grow rough. It is not about becoming numb or indifferent to the world. It is about replacing chaotic, overwhelming emotions with a calm and steady strength. the Stoics saw a vital distinction between our initial, natural feelings and the consuming passions we can choose to release. When you hear sudden, difficult news, a wave of concern is a natural human reaction. That feeling is a signal, a piece of information. A consuming passion is what happens when you cling to that wave, when you let it pull you into a whirlpool of worry, rumination, and distress. The first is a brief ripple on the water. The second is a storm that obscures your vision and steals your ability to navigate. Seneca, in his writing on the tranquility of mind, described the value of this steady soul. He wrote that the mind must be brought to a state of firmness, where whatever happens is met with a consistent and unvarying expression. He was speaking of that profound inner resilience that allows for clear thought and purposeful action, no matter the external pressure. Consider two individuals facing the same professional challenge, a critical project that is suddenly altered by an unexpected problem. One person is seized by a passion of panic. Their thinking becomes scattered, their decisions reactive, their communication filled with alarm. The other, cultivating apatheia, feels the initial jolt of surprise but does not fuel it into a fire. Their mind remains clear. They assess the facts calmly, marshal available resources, and communicate with a focused determination. The situation itself is identical, but the capacity to manage it is worlds apart. The strength is not in avoiding the feeling, but in not being commanded by it. So, bring your awareness to one recurring passion that often disturbs your own peace. It might be a simmering frustration that flares in daily traffic, or a current of chronic concern about future events that plays in the background of your mind. For a moment, simply observe this pattern without judgment. Then, ask yourself this gentle question: what single, small action could I take to loosen its grip, to create a moment of space between the initial feeling and my full engagement with it? This is not about winning a battle against yourself, but about quietly reclaiming the calm clarity that is your natural state. The Stoics believed the universe itself is governed by a rational principle, a logos, and everything has a place within it. This is not a cold, mechanical system, but a deeply intelligent order where every part, including your personal challenges, plays a role in the whole. From this elevated viewpoint, a setback is never a random punishment or a meaningless accident. It is a single thread in a vast, interconnected tapestry, its full purpose and beauty perhaps hidden from our limited, ground-level sight. This perspective invites a profound trust, a release of the need to constantly judge events as good or bad based solely on their immediate impact on our small lives. Marcus Aurelius anchored himself in this trust during times of immense pressure. He wrote, "Accept everything which happens, even if it seems troublesome, and accept that it has occurred for your benefit, for that is how the universal nature works." He saw his own life and every event within it as one small note in a grand cosmic symphony, each note essential to the overall harmony. Think of watching a single, confusing scene from a film completely out of context. A character might be facing a bewildering failure or an unexpected change. In that isolated moment, the event seems purely negative, a disruption. But when you watch the entire movie from beginning to end, you understand that very scene was the crucial turning point. It was the necessary catalyst that forced the character to grow, to change direction, or to discover a hidden strength, ultimately leading to a resolution that would have been impossible without that initial challenge. Your life is that entire movie, and you are still in the middle of it. The scene you are living through right now, the one that feels like a setback, only seems confusing because you cannot yet see how it fits into the complete story of who you are becoming. Bring to mind one past event that seemed purely difficult or unfortunate when it occurred. Perhaps it was a job you did not get, a path that shifted, or a plan that fell apart. With the benefit of hindsight, can you now see a single positive thread that emerged from that experience? Did that closed door gently steer you toward a different opportunity that was a better fit? Did that period of transition ultimately teach you something about your own capacity for resilience or what you truly value in a connection? By tracing that thread, you are not denying the past difficulty. You are practicing the art of seeing with the eyes of logos, learning to trust that even in the midst of confusion, a larger, coherent story is being woven. The Stoics kept a symbolic object on their desk, not as a dark decoration but as the ultimate reminder. This practice, known as Memento Mori, translates to a simple, profound instruction: remember, you must live fully. Far from being a grim fixation, this was their most powerful tool for clarifying a life well lived. The constant awareness of our limited time here acts like a mental filter, instantly separating what is essential from what is merely noise. It asks the piercing question: if your days were numbered, would you really spend this one consumed by resentment or by chasing empty approval? Seneca framed this with striking urgency. He wrote that the whole future lies in uncertainty, so live immediately. He observed that we are not given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not poor in time, but wasteful of it. We lose life little by little every day, in the moments we spend on worry, on pretense, on things that do not serve our character. Remembering the end is what shocks us into beginning to live with purpose right now. Imagine you find yourself in a heated disagreement over a minor household chore, or a perceived slight in a text message. The feeling of being right is intoxicating, and you are prepared to invest your energy in a long, drawn-out conflict. Now hold the Memento Mori lens to that very same moment. Against the backdrop of a finite life, how significant is this disagreement truly? Does winning this argument deserve a single minute of the precious, irreplaceable time you have been given? The reminder of our shared human journey does not erase the irritation, but it shrinks it down to its true, insignificant size, allowing you to release your grip and redirect your focus toward connection and peace. So bring this question into your own awareness. If you knew for certain you had only 1 month to live, what single trivial worry, what recurring source of frustration would you immediately and without hesitation let go of? The answer points directly to a concern that is already stealing your peace, and that you have the power to release today. A Stoic philosopher compared the wise person to an archer. The archer's entire focus must be on the process, on doing everything within their power correctly. They choose the best arrow, they feel the tension of the bow, they steady their breathing, and they take careful aim. They release the string with perfect form. At that moment, their job is complete. Their virtue, their excellence, is found entirely in that flawless execution. What happens next, whether a sudden gust of wind deflects the arrow or a stray dog runs across the field, is not part of their moral action. It is an external event, an indifferent. The Roman statesman Cicero preserved this powerful analogy, explaining that for the Stoics, the ultimate good was this very act of aiming rightly. To be distressed by the wind is as foolish as the archer blaming themselves for the weather. Your character is defined by the quality of your effort, not by the randomness of the outcome. Apply this now to a modern scenario, like a job interview. Your domain as the archer is everything you can control. This includes researching the company thoroughly, preparing thoughtful questions, and presenting your skills with authenticity and clarity. Your virtue lies in that preparation and in your conduct during the conversation itself. You aim with care. The final hiring decision, however, is the wind. It is influenced by the unseen preferences of the interviewers, the strengths of other candidates, or internal budget shifts you could never know about. To tie your sense of self-worth or your peace of mind to that final decision is to hand over your inner stability to forces you cannot command. You can walk out of an interview having performed with excellence, your aim true, and still not get the offer. The Stoic transformation asks you to find your success in the excellence of your aim, making the final outcome something you can observe with calm acceptance, whether it aligns with your hopes or not. Bring to mind one important goal you are currently working toward. Now, take a mental sheet of paper and draw a line down the center. On one side, list everything that constitutes your aim, your controllable actions and attitudes. This is your territory of virtue. On the other side, list the target, the desired outcome that depends on factors beyond your direct influence. This simple act of separation is a declaration of freedom. It allows you to pour your entire energy into the left side of the page, into the quality of your effort, while holding the right side lightly, understanding that the final result, like the path of the arrow, has a journey of its own. Stoicism teaches that we are all limbs of the same body, a single community. This profound idea of interconnectedness is known as Sympatheia. It is the understanding that every person you meet shares a fragment of the same universal reason, and that causing distress to another is ultimately like a hand striking its own face. This perspective fundamentally reshapes how we interpret the actions of others, especially when they create setbacks for us. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this kinship. When faced with difficult people, he would write in his private thoughts that such a person is your kinsman, not because they share your blood, but because they share in the same mind and the same portion of the divine. He advised himself to remember that a wrongdoer is misguided, that they are acting from a place of not understanding what is truly good. This is not about excusing poor behavior, but about correctly seeing its source. You do not get angry at a knife for being dull, you simply sharpen it. You do not need to rage against a person who is mistaken, you can seek to guide them with patience. Consider a conflict with a colleague who publicly dismisses your idea during a meeting. The immediate, raw impression is one of personal insult, a feeling of being challenged. The untrained reaction might be to retaliate, to plan a sharp rebuttal, or to retreat into frustration. But through the lens of Sympatheia, you can pause and reframe the entire event. Your colleague is not a villain. They are a limb of the same body, acting from a place of not knowing better. Perhaps they are unaware of the full value of your idea. Maybe they are acting from their own deep-seated insecurity or a misplaced desire to appear competent. This does not make their action right, but it changes its nature from a personal attack to a human error. Your response is no longer about winning a battle, but about helping a part of the shared whole. You can choose to meet them with the virtue of justice, seeking a fair outcome for the project, and with a desire for the common good of the team. This might mean asking them a clarifying question in a calm tone later, or patiently restating the benefits of your proposal in a different way. Your aim shifts from retaliation to reconnection. Now bring to mind someone you currently find difficult, someone who feels like a source of friction in your life. Instead of focusing on the frustration they cause, ask yourself this single, gentle question. What specific lack of awareness might be guiding their actions? Are they perhaps unaware of how their words land? Could they be acting from a place of fear or a lack of understanding about a shared goal? This is not an exercise in making excuses for them, but in seeing them with clearer, more compassionate eyes. When you recognize the misunderstanding behind the action, you disarm your own anger and unlock a more powerful, peaceful path forward. The Stoics had a simple phrase they would silently add to every plan they made. This mental habit was known as the reserve clause, a quiet acknowledgement that you can only ever do your part. It is the ultimate expression of detached engagement, where you pour your entire effort into an action while holding the result with an open hand. This practice is the living embodiment of the dichotomy of control in motion. You control your intention and your effort, but the final outcome rests with the larger web of nature, with fate itself. Epictetus taught his students to sail to a destination, but to do so with the reservation, if nothing prevents me. He explained that if your ship is detained, you must not struggle against the wind, but simply drop anchor and wait, performing what is in your power with a good spirit. This is not a lack of ambition, but a profound alignment with reality. It is the difference between demanding that the world conform to your will and cooperating with the world as it actually is. Think of planning an important outdoor gathering. You can commit fully to your part, preparing the food with care, inviting guests thoughtfully, and organizing the activities. Your internal reserve clause sounds like this: I will organize this picnic to the best of my ability, fate permitting the weather. You have done everything within your sphere. If a sudden storm arrives and cancels the event, your peace is not shattered. The outcome was never your sole possession. The frustration of a changed plan arises only when you secretly believed you commanded the skies. The reserve clause protects you from that very disappointment by building acceptance into the plan from the very beginning. This mental framing transforms how you approach any endeavor. You can work diligently toward a promotion, investing your focus and skill, while internally acknowledging that the final decision rests with factors beyond your control. You can train for a race with complete dedication, all the while understanding that your readiness on the day of the event is not a guaranteed promise. Your sense of worth remains tied to the quality of your effort, the one thing that is genuinely yours, and not to the prize which belongs to the realm of indifference. So, bring to mind your main intention for today. It might be a work project you aim to complete or a conversation you hope to have. Now, silently add those 3 words to the end of that goal, if nothing prevents. Feel how that simple addition changes the energy around it. It does not diminish your drive, but it does release the tight grip of expectation, leaving you free to act with purpose, yet perfectly at peace with whatever may unfold. When you face a great difficulty, who is the person you imagine handling it with perfect wisdom and courage? This figure represents the Stoic ideal of the sage, a model of unshakable virtue. While achieving that perfect state may be the work of a lifetime, we can draw immense strength from studying those who came close. Their lives become a living curriculum, a map showing us how principles look when put into practice under the most intense pressure. The philosopher Seneca advised his readers to choose a man of high character and keep him always in your mind, living as if he were watching you and ordering all your actions as if he saw them. He was describing the power of an internal guide, a constant companion for your conscience. Consider the historical example of Cato the Younger, a Roman senator whose unwavering commitment to his principles, even in the face of political collapse and personal danger, made him a legendary Stoic exemplar. His story is not about his political cause, but about the incredible consistency of his character. When his side lost a civil war, Cato made a personal choice that reflected his deepest convictions about living with honor. The Stoics did not focus on that final moment itself, but on the lifetime of integrity that led to it. He was a man who, through daily practice, had made his virtue so strong that he would not compromise it, even for his own safety. His life provides a template for what it means to align your actions completely with your deepest values. In more modern times, figures like Thomas Jefferson frequently turned to Stoic texts, finding in them a foundation for the resilience needed to lead a new nation. Or think of a fictional character from a film or book who faces overwhelming odds with a quiet, determined calm, their inner strength shining through the external chaos. These exemplars, whether historical or imagined, give us a target to aim for. They show us that the philosophy is not just words in a book, but a way of being that has been lived. So take a moment now and bring to mind one person, real or from history, whose character in the face of hardship you genuinely admire. It does not have to be a famous philosopher. It could be a family member who endured a great challenge with grace, a public figure known for their dignity, or a historical icon you have read about. What is the single quality in them that you find most compelling? Is it their courage, their unwavering fairness, or their profound sense of calm? By identifying that specific virtue, you make it tangible. You give yourself a personal North Star to guide you when your own path becomes difficult to see. To a Stoic, a setback is not a personal affront, it is simply a part of physics. This perspective draws from the Stoic understanding of the universe as a single, interconnected system of cause and effect, a concept they called logos. Everything that occurs, from the growth of a tree to the shifting of a plan, is a natural outcome of this vast, rational web. There is no room for a story where the world is singling you out for difficulty, because the universe is not a person with intentions. It is a system of material causes, and your challenge is one thread in that immense tapestry. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this deeply, writing that you should observe the universal nature and look at the things which happen in connection with it. He saw that every change, even the most challenging, was in accordance with a nature that was both ancient and ever new. When you can see the logos in a storm that alters a picnic, you stop seeing the storm as a personal injustice and start seeing it as a meteorological event. This is the ultimate act of depersonalizing misfortune. Think of a tree falling in a forest. It does not fall out of ill will. It falls because the wind pushed with a certain force against a trunk softened by time and nature. It is a purely physical event, a result of cause and effect. Now, bring to mind a professional disappointment, like a project being set aside after months of work. The untrained mind weaves a story of unfairness, of being overlooked or singled out. But the Stoic lens asks you to see it as the tree falling. A shift in market conditions was the wind. A budget reallocation was the natural wear in the trunk. These are impersonal, causal factors, not a verdict on your worth. The event itself is neutral until your judgment colors it with pain. So take one current problem that feels deeply personal to you. For a moment, try to set aside the story of being a victim. Look at the situation as a scientist would, observing only the chain of causes and effects that led to this point. What specific conditions came together to produce this outcome? When you see the physics of the event, you can finally separate what happened from what it means about you, and that separation is the birthplace of a profound and unshakable resilience. The paradox of Stoicism is that by focusing relentlessly on your inner world, you often change your outer world for the better. When you cultivate a mind that is calm, clear, and guided by principle, your actions in the world cannot help but shift. You become like a still point in a turning universe, and from that place of quiet strength, your influence naturally expands. The Stoics were not focused on manipulating external outcomes, but they understood a profound secret. A person of good character, by their very nature, makes wiser choices, builds stronger trust, and responds to difficulty with a creativity that often opens doors which panic would have kept firmly shut. Your inner transformation does not just change how you experience the world, it changes how the world responds to you. This is the beautiful, almost magnetic effect of a resilient spirit. The ancient philosophers often spoke of this indirect path. They taught that our primary job is to be a good person, and that the right external results will frequently follow as a natural consequence of that internal work. It is not about chasing success, but about becoming the kind of person for whom a meaningful form of success becomes possible. Think of a business partnership that faces a significant financial loss. One partner reacts with blame and despair, their decisions becoming frantic and short-sighted. Their emotional state creates a ripple effect of tension and poor communication, damaging relationships and closing off potential avenues for recovery. The other partner, grounded in Stoic practice, meets the same loss with a different spirit. They acknowledge the difficulty without being consumed by it. They focus on what can be controlled, analyzing the situation with clarity, and reaching out to contacts with a calm, determined honesty. This very attitude, this demonstration of resilience and integrity, often inspires confidence in others. A supplier might offer more flexible terms because they trust the individual's character. A former client, impressed by how the challenge is being handled, might refer a new opportunity. The setback itself did not change, but the internal state of one person created an entirely different external reality, one where recovery and new growth became possible. Now bring to mind a situation in your own life, perhaps a disagreement or a professional challenge, where you initially felt frustrated or defeated. Can you recall a moment when you consciously shifted your own attitude, when you chose patience over irritation or curiosity over judgment? What was the effect on the situation itself? Did the other person's tone soften? Did a new solution appear that was invisible when you were looking through a lens of anger? This is your circle of influence in action, proving that the most powerful change often begins not with a demand placed on the world, but with a quiet decision made within yourself. Let's weave these threads together into a simple, daily ritual for building strength. This is not about adding more tasks to your day, but about creating a structure that turns philosophical principles into lived resilience. A consistent 5-minute practice each morning and evening can fundamentally rewire your response to life's inevitable challenges, transforming the Stoic method from a concept into a reflex. The true power lies not in perfection, but in the quiet repetition of turning inward day after day. Your morning ritual begins before the day's demands take hold. Find a quiet moment, perhaps with your morning drink, and dedicate just 5 minutes to setting your inner compass. First, engage in a gentle form of mental preparation. Bring to mind one potential challenge the day might hold, a difficult conversation or a demanding task. Do not dwell on it with worry, but simply acknowledge its possibility. This is your mental preparation, getting your mind ready to meet that event with calm rather than surprise. Next, set a clear intention rooted in your personal values. Ask yourself, what single quality do I wish to practice today? It could be patience during a long commute, courage in stating a difficult truth, or wisdom in knowing when to pause. This intention becomes your personal guide for the next 12 hours. A simple phrase you can return to when things feel uncertain. As evening falls, your second 5-minute practice is one of gentle review. This is not about judging your day, but about learning from it with the curiosity of a scientist studying data. Open a notebook or a simple digital document and briefly answer 3 questions. Where did my aim feel true today? Acknowledge one moment where you felt aligned with your principles, however small. Then, with equal calm, consider where the current felt strongest. Where did an external event or an internal feeling pull you off course? Finally, and most importantly, ask what adjustment I can make to my aim tomorrow. This turns reflection into preparation, ensuring each day builds upon the last. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminded us that no great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. The fig tree must blossom first, and then the fruit will follow in its own time. Here is a straightforward outline for your own daily practice. For your 5-minute morning, first, sit quietly and take 3 deep breaths. Second, mentally rehearse one potential daily challenge. Third, set one clear intention for your character, such as I will practice patience or I will act with fairness. For your 5-minute evening, first, write one sentence about a reaction you observed in yourself. Second, identify the underlying thought that fueled it. Third, write one small intention for how you might meet a similar feeling tomorrow with more wisdom. The ritual itself is a practice of focused action, concentrating entirely on the quality of your effort while releasing any attachment to a perfect outcome. Your challenge is not to master this entire routine at once, but to begin. For the next 7 days, choose just one element to commit to. Will it be the morning intention or the evening review of a single reaction? This small, consistent act is the seed from which unshakable strength will grow. The ultimate power over your life was never about controlling every wave, but in learning how to stand firm within the storm. We have journeyed together through the Stoic transformation method, a path that teaches us to see not with our eyes but with our minds. It begins with that vital pause, the conscious space between an event and your judgment, where you reclaim your freedom. It is strengthened by the clear line of the dichotomy of control, sorting every circumstance into what is yours to command and what is not, so you can stop fighting the wind and focus on setting your sail. This path asks for the courageous embrace of Amor Fati, a love of your fate, where you welcome every experience as the necessary material for building your character. And it is sustained by the daily disciplines, the morning intentions and evening reflections that forge these ideas into an unshakable inner resilience. Each step is a choice to find your strength not in the absence of obstacles, but within the obstacles themselves. The philosopher Epictetus offered a definition of true invincibility when he said, "No one can hold up under fatigue or danger, except the one who seeks all his good from within his own mind." When your sense of good, your worth, and your peace are rooted in your own choices and character, you become a fortress that no external event can ever breach. This capacity for resilience is not a distant ideal. It is your birthright waiting to be activated through conscious practice. Your transformation does not require you to master every principle at once. It asks only for one. Choose one single idea from this guide, perhaps the evening review or the practice of naming your emotions, and apply it with gentle consistency for the next 7 days. Observe the subtle shift in your inner landscape as you begin to turn setbacks into your greatest source of strength. If this path has resonated with you, consider subscribing for more practical guides on living a Stoic life. And we would be honored to hear from you in the comments below, to learn which practice you are choosing to begin with and what you are discovering on your own journey.